Okay, so let me read the chats. Good now. Thank you, Barbara, Norman. Thank you, everyone. Jet, you're going to have to tell me how you did on those calls we did this morning. How many pips did you get altogether? If you don't mind me. Oh, I totally want to know, actually. I definitely 100% want to know. There we go. Well, while people are deciding how they did this morning and how their day went, first off, we obviously have to start off with our disclaimer that says, you guys know the drill. Everything we discuss on this call is for trading educational purposes only. Please don't trade what you can't afford to lose. This is kind of meant to be the super beginners class, meaning if you have questions about structure or supply, demand, candle formations, trend lines, moving averages, simple oscillators and indicators alike, this is the best time to do that. If you have questions about simplicity, the super arrow system, the scanner, this is also the best time to do that. So if you have questions about the golden strategy or the morning scalping stuff, the morning calls are the best time to do that. So please keep that in mind as well. Please know that I am not your financial advisor. I am not your attorney, and I am definitely not an accountant or tax advisor. So please take that with a grain of salt. I am just another person on the other end of this computer screen who happened to get good at trading and who's here kind of working with you, growing with you right alongside, as you grow through and go through your path of becoming a proficient and profitable trader. So don't trade what you can't afford to lose. You guys know the drill. This right here is super simple. I mean, elementary level simple. It's not that complex. It's, again, almost elementary. So how are we going to compound with any of the strategies we're using? This seems to be the most important thing that I think is overlooked. So I really highly feel like the majority of strategies and potential indicators can work in theory, always in theory, right? But it's all about your management. It's going to be about how you're managing, how you're putting in your compounding, how you're duplicating your lot sizes and what you're doing specifically, because if you're all over the place, you're going to end up having results that are all over the place. They're not duplicatable. You can't get anywhere with them. And then you feel like, of course, it's the system that stinks, or the strategy, or the indicator, or the group, or whatever. When the reality is, the odds are the problem is 99% of the time a you issue. Most system strategies have a profitability ratio, and with the right rules, you can make it very, very profitable for you. So how do we compound? Very simple, guys. We're going to have a trading plan. We're going to introduce and kind of everything we need to do in terms of this specific thing, which means you have rules for entry, a reason to exit, as in not emotional, not, hey, I felt like it, or hey, so-and-so from this group told me I should get out. It should be a rule-based, I'm going to exit based off of my stop loss, or I'm going to exit based off of these reasons only. Anything else does not qualify. You should have a pip target, pip protection or trail of some kind, stop loss. You should have some level of rules that say how many entries you're going to take in a day, or how many you'll be in at one time, how many you're allowed to take in a week, what your percentage of gain could be in terms of pips, profit, dollars, or trades per day, week, month, etc. So have that all written out and then actually follow it. So we tell our kids, we tell our clients, we tell our business people, we tell the gas station and our grocery store clerks, everybody has an order of operation, but somehow we go into business for ourselves and we don't think we need to follow one. That is a recipe to disaster. So please make sure you have all that figured out. We have some amazing tools that will help you do that along the way if you don't know how yet. And if nothing else, they'll teach you to become a better, rule maker and follower with your management. So trading plan should be exclusive to one account, right? One strategy and a specific few pairs or pair. Like, so you shouldn't be taking swing trades and signals and scalp trades using like the golden strategy or simplicity or Yoo-hoo signals or this and that all in the same account. Because when you go back to those results in 30 days, you're going to see a whole bunch of just all over the place. And when you drag and drop those entries, you're not going to be able to know why it won or why it lost. And not knowing why you won or why you lost is going to, pretty much get you a whole bunch of no results. So please keep that in mind. You don't want to be doing everything in the same account. You should have one account for signals if you're taking them, one account for scalping, and kind of honing in on your skill right there and just really diving deep in terms of knowing what you're doing. You can have another account for swing trading, like with something like simplicity, like we're getting ready to go over, but it should not be the same account. The only exception to that is if you are a diligent, incredible rock star of a note taker, where you can write down why you took every single trade you took, then you kind of get out of jail free for that one. So have a schedule, including how many entries you're going to take per day, per week, how many hours you're going to trade at a time, how many times per day, etc., so forth. Keep in mind, less is always going to be more. We live in a world where we were trained and taught, from the dawn of time, that we were meant to work and we're meant to work hard, and only the early bird gets the worm, and we feel unproductive. We feel like we're failing ourselves if we're not quote unquote working. But this is one of the very few industries I can tell you more hours and more entries and more trading time is not going to work. So please, please, please don't do that. Keep in mind that a little bit of time, I mean, some of us can do 15 minutes in a day. It won't always be perfect. Some days there's nothing happening. That means you get no trades, and that's okay. But the less you trade, the more you will make. And that is typically true across the board, I feel like, for most strategies of all kinds. So that's just my opinion, though. Take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, you're going to want to increase your lot size based off of account balance. If you're trying to compound, you don't want to just take the same lot size. And you sure as heck don't want to be taking trades all willy-nilly, such as like, I'm going to do a 0.5, and then I'm going to do a 0.05, and I'm going to do a 2.0, and then now I'm going to do a 0.015 or 0.01. Wow, I can't talk. Like, you don't want to do that, because again, it's going to give you something that you can't track and can't figure out. Because even if you're profitable, you won't be able to promise that you are in the next batch of 20 or 30 trades. So it doesn't matter if we can make 20 grand, 30 grand, or even 100 grand, and then you give it all back. You haven't gained the skill sets, because you can't go do it again in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So you've effectively done nothing. So
Stop talking about me.
Okay, Derek, how are you?
Wonderful.
How's the weather out there? Warmer than Texas?
Yes, beautiful. Roll with my windows down.
Same here. So yeah. But last but not least, make sure you're withdrawing, guys. So I don't care if it's enough for a cup of coffee. We talk about this kind of stuff quite often, meaning this is real money. And most people treat it like video game money because it's such an easy buy, sell, stock market, something we can do. I think that's done.
She told me if I come to Huntsville, she's going to arrest me, I'm sure.
Don, if that was you, that was the most robotic, pixelated sound I have ever heard in my entire life. Do you want to put it in the chat? Guys, she's working on, she also lives in Texas, so right before we go to the charts.
I think I have a delay.
Yeah.
That's an understatement, darling.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess. So put it in the chat, but we're here, and I will totally honor whatever you have to say. I'll even read it out loud for you. Super fast. But okay, last but not least, while she's putting that in the chat, please make a withdrawal. I don't care if it's barely enough for that expensive Starbucks drink. Every week or two, make sure you go to your account and make a withdrawal. Show yourself that this is real money. If you can do that, you're going to treat this a little bit differently, because whether or not you made 10 grand or no grand, you're not going to know how real this is if you leave it all, in cyberspace. So please consider something like that. And obviously, as you're more successful and you're actively compounding, I'm a pretty big advocate of, yeah, 6 figures is beautiful, 7 figures is better, 50,000 is great. But if you just withdrew 35%, 30%, 50% of your growth every month, if the following month the market got crazy on you, the market went nuts, the market irritated, had something happen, God forbid, another political figure open their mouth, it doesn't matter. Even if you blew your account, it doesn't matter, because you're getting your money out of it. So keep that in mind, and please consider doing that. We all want those big numbers. They're obviously appealing, and they're pretty, and they're sexy, but it's about more. This really comes down to you leveling up in life. And all that really means is having enough to pay off that credit card. It means having enough to put the down payment on the house or buy your daughter the car. All that really means is, how much do I need to live safely without my job, or what have you. So if you really trade in a way that says this is only for my next level up, and then anything extra is extra, you're in a good place. So any questions on any of that while Derek and Donna talk smack in the chat?
I know.
She has to. She's stuck out there. So while I'm switching screens and no one's coming up, I'm going to say, please say a little prayer for Texas. There are millions of people who have no power, millions of people who are just stuck, and they can't get their medicine. They shutting off the water. And of course, they're trying to be kind and do what they've got to do. But it's not that the snowstorm is so much better, or if these people were smarter, you could make it. It's the city isn't equipped for that. So it would be no different than like a hurricane hitting, the central United States. No one is equipped for that. So it's the same kind of concept. For all the smack talkers out there, just know that they're not equipped for this level of snow, even though it's not treacherously bad like up north. It is effectively horrible for them because they're not in a position to handle it. Their pipes aren't meant for that. They're their water systems, their school system, their roads, everything is not meant for that. So it's a whole different ballpark in terms of, national crisis kind of stuff, believe it or not. So,
Oh yeah, my pipes are still frozen.
are you in
Oh,
Texas?
Oh yeah, I'm in Dallas.
Do you have power on? Oh, obviously you have power on right now, right?
Yeah, I have power.
And do you have water?
Oh, yeah, that's in my bathroom. The pipes are froze, but everywhere else in the house is working okay.
That's not bad. You're more blessed than many, that's for sure.
Yep. And I've been checking on Miss Donna too, making sure she's okay.
We do have an amazing group of people, guys. It really is awesome to see how many of us really come through for each other and are there. So yeah, check in on each other.
Oh yeah.
No water and lights on and off. So her power's been on and off all day. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
but I bet you her pistols are working.
Whatever. I don't for 3 days. So Felicia says no power for 3 days, all that good stuff. So be careful, everyone. Now, real quick, before I go, I'm in Texas.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm new to the group. My name is Kenneth Roberts.
Hi, Kenneth. How can I help you?
Like I said, I'm new to the group. I'm from the Cayman Islands. I'm actually driving my car right now, but I'm sorry to hear of all that is going on over there. Wish you guys could be down here and all the warmth and everything that we have.
Well, yeah, you just trying to rub it in or what's up?
I know.
No.
You're drinking a Mai Tai at the beach, Kenneth, in flip-flops?
No. I'm sorry.
Your family lives in Wisconsin?
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm just picking on
Anyway, I just want to ask a quick question. You guys are you going to be trading tonight, or are you just going to be having
I'll hang out. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a couple of trades. So I'm going to do exactly what I would do with the simplicity and like any kind of swing trading system. So I'm going to kind of click through. If it was just me, it would take me about 20 minutes. But since we're chatting and kind of hanging out, it'll probably take about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, hopefully. We'll click through these pairs and see what's setting up for some long-term possibilities. I'll legit just make a list, put it on my desk, and then we're going to check the news. Potentially, I'll check one of my news filters too, and we'll pick one or two of these trades that I think are potential swing trades. So we are going to be looking at some entries, but for the most part, Kenneth, I've gotten really comfortable at getting my thousands of pips in the morning, and I really don't care about swing trades so much. I can't lie. It's been pretty beautiful, but we will look for them. Fair enough?
Okay. Well, I just signed up today, so I just got on today, so I'm pretty new to it. So I just trying to see, how much I can learn from the group.
Well, welcome to the family, first of all. You're in good hands. I know Uncle P does his trainings on Tuesday and Wednesday mornings.
Yes.
If you're in the signals group, you're going to have access to Elvis and myself. Elvis does signals, and then of course myself does scalping lessons. So you're in good hands. And overall, we just got a good group of people. It's not a perfect system. None of these systems any of them are perfect, but just good people.
Okay.
Come and hang out, welcome, and enjoy your warmth. Okay.
I can hear that. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to hear about all that's going on up there.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. Well, they're good, I should say. I'm in Florida, so I should be bragging too.
Okay. Yeah, I have a niece. I have a couple of nieces that lives in Florida as well.
Nice.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, so Jet just said that Audchf is a 1 hour scanner. I'm wondering, Jet, please drop your settings for the simplicity if you want me to go over that. I do want to mention real quick, for those of you guys who were in class this morning, I ended up totaling out earlier on, it was 3,000 pips. By the end of the day, I had closed out over 5,000 pips, and I still have a current, hold on, let me move this chat box, a current 900 pips running. And that's between GU, German 30, US 30, and NAS. guys, not every day is going to be that perfect. We know some days we kind of either hit a loss, some days we hang out and just nothing's moving. We don't take a trade. But that many pips, even one day in a week, is life changing for those of you guys who know how to compound, those of you guys who are knowing how to manage your trade and finding success in what you're doing. So ultimately, that's what we're trying to go for. So please, 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 if you got any of those results, drop those in the chats. And secondly, if you got any of those results, don't go harder tomorrow. Don't go extra to get that many pips tomorrow, because it's, you know, we don't want to do that. We don't want to give any of it back. So to the best of our ability, please, please, please keep that in mind. A few people in the chat said they got something. At least Norman speaks up. He gets brownie points in my eyes. I think he said he got 800. I'm going to go up on the chat real quick. 800 just now on German 30. Jet said he made some on, oh, sorry, Norman said he got 800 on US 30. Jet said he made some on German 30. So not bad. But all that aside, let's go ahead and get to the simplicity and let's go ahead and get to the scanner. So in the chat, we've got Jet saying, let's check the sell on Audchf. I will do that here in just a moment. Joseph said, how do you get the scanner to use simplicity signals instead of the easy pip signals? I'm pretty sure the scanner is programmed to use this. That might be an Uncle P question, Joseph. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's set to use simplicity as its major signal use. So easy pips is just this kind of half of a system that he threw in for free for anybody who bought the scanner but didn't own simplicity. So I could be wrong, but let me honor him and ask you to ask him to be sure, okay? Just so you know where those signals are coming from. But first thing I'm going to talk about the USD pairs. USD pairs were falling. We knew that today. It was kind of a beautiful thing where all the trades that we've waited for kind of all lined up at the right time. Doesn't always happen so perfectly. Today it happened to happen. So I suppose we'll start with Audchf per Mr. Jet's request. Let me see if I can't find it. Okay. Brand new signal coming in. That's a perfect one, actually. Double top kind of formation. That's exactly what we want to see. We've already come down and retested, failed to make a higher high. We're in the top of the hot zone, as Uncle P would like to call it. Let's come over. I'm going to make this a little bit uglier. I wanted to zoom in so we could see the candles, so we can actually see what candle, which candle we got the signal on to see if we're making a lower low. Because that's really how I decide to take entries on most of the systems that I use, particularly with the trend-based system or a counter trend-based system. Anything that's not consolidating, well, and I don't trade that way, as you guys know, but if you're trying to go against the trend or with the trend, one of the most simple rules that I think no one talks about is, seriously, if the next candles aren't moving in the right direction, we probably shouldn't be in that trade. So this is the next candle that's appearing right now. We've got a wick forming to the downside. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. So how would I take this trade? Right now, it's pushing back down, wick to the downside. You have a few options. You can take that later entry by putting a pending order here, right? Anywhere in and around here. It's going to be magenta, so you're not going to see it that good because of the hot zone box. But anywhere around 69099, 69099, 691, which is a whole number. So 691, anywhere in and around that range. If price breaks that, we're looking for an entry. And that's kind of your more confirmed entry. Now, if you look at the overall structure of this trade, go to the 4 hour, first of all. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, we're forming a double top on the 4 hour, kind of beautiful. This is our impulse, this is our correction. We're failing to make higher highs, just exactly like we needed to. Kind of perfect. No guarantees, but we're sitting inside of that hot zone, the 4 hour hot zone and the 1 hour hot zone, in all fairness. Got a doji bouncing off whatever this is emulating currently. 50s down here. So how many pips is it if we took the late entry on this trade? This is not a fast mover, as you guys can see. So it's only about 10 pips on the 4 hour time frame, up to 15 pips, not a lot. But keep in mind, your stop loss also is not a lot. So if your stop loss is taking, less than 30 pips, give or take, and you need to have just at least a 1-to-1, that's really, really doable. So now that we've got that 4 hour view, let's take a look. and where potential targets can be. Uncle P would call that a 415. Why? I haven't went to the 15-minute time frame. So why would this be called a 415 if I haven't went to the far? I have an echo? Oh,
No, Donna's echoing what you're saying.
oh, gotcha. But I'm like, why? I haven't went there. So it's bouncing off the 4 hour. If I go to the 15-minute time frame, bouncing on the 4 and wait for the entry on the 15. Okay. Well, I can go to the 15 to kind of see what it's doing down there. Let's find out. 15 minutes showing a buy and showing a double bottom. So that might not be a good idea. So this would not qualify as a 415 then, right? I'm sure there's a delay because you'd have to wait for this to tell you to sell again on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so back to the 1 hour time frame. We've got a sell signal. We know the 15 minutes not currently lining up, but when we're swing trading, we don't want to get super involved with the lower time frames. Now, some people do, and that works great for them. So if it works for them, they should totally keep doing it. For me, if I'm scalping, I want to be looking at the scalping time frames. I don't want to be overly concerned with what's happening on the huge time frames, unless, of course, you're at all-time highs or all-time lows or areas of no structure, no supply and demand. Now, if I'm swing trading, I really don't want to care so much what is happening on the 5, 15, or 30 or whatever. I want to be able to come to my charts and grab my little handy dandy, what is this, like inspirational notepad thingy, and make my list, right, for the day of what I'm seeing. So like right now, if I wrote Audchf, okay, on my paper, I want to be able to say there's a 1 hour confirmation, a 4 hour setup, because there is a 4 hour setup. And as for every other time frame, none of my business. Now, could that work against me? Absolutely. Let me be 1,000% honest. Could that backfire? Yes, it definitely can. But remember, I'm only looking at a couple of entries based off of swing trades. I don't want to look at the rest of the stuff. That's my way of trading as a swing trader. It's just a different one. So no, not saying one way is better than another. You have to find the way that best suits you. So for me, I'm going to say, okay, we're on the 1 hour time frame. We have a nice impulse to the top side. And now look, if we're trying to look at this at a more naked perspective, we have a sell arrow saying sell. We've definitely got some room to the next higher time frame 50, or in this case, the 250. And we're bouncing off of previous support. So try to imagine this hot zone is not here. Remember, that's just a Fibonacci level. That's all that is. Try to imagine that it's not there for just 1 hot minute and realize that we have this impulse correction to where price stopped before. So I'm going to say that again, impulse correction to where price stopped before. That's super relevant information. So these wicks and where these candles are stopping is a Fibonacci mark, yes, but it's also where price has stopped before. So now we have to see if we're going to get a break below that. Otherwise, I'm not counting this as ready. So can you go down to like the 5 or 15-minute time frame and wait for an entry? You absolutely can. So is that a good way to trade? I think if I wasn't ready to take this trade now and I wanted to take a couple of swing trades, let's say tomorrow morning, I don't have a class and I have this list of Forex pairs on my desk that I think have potential on the 1 and 4, and I go to my chart, right before I go to bed or after a shower or what have you, and I want to see if something is lining up in the 5 and the 15, I would definitely start with this list I have that would say Audchf, sell, right? So I'd have a sell next to that. Audchf, I'd say 1 hour and 4 hour setup. And I'd circle the 1 hour because that's confirmed with simplicity. 4 hour setup would be more based off of structure. I could check that. So I have a couple of options. I can skip it all together. I can check it when I come back, like after a shower or workout or whatever. I can check it in the morning, or I can decide that it's worth my risk to enter the trade as of right now. And those are my options. Anything else? Totally up to you guys. For those of you guys who are brand new, overthinking this is a waste of mental space, 1,000% across the board. So as I told you, I'm not ready to enter this trade because the next candles are not going in the right direction. So on this trade, I'm out. I would have to wait until I get a confirmation, so either a breakout or a smaller time frame entry. And that's the only way I would take this trade, for Jet, who asked in the chart. Question would be, where my stop loss and all that stuff go? Remember, my stop loss is going to be sizably above where structure ends because I don't want to get stuck on the wick. And of course, based off of where price currently is, that's about 220-ish pips, give or take. I need to have my take profit be at least equal to my stop loss, if not more. So we know we're waiting kind of for this breakout. This other magenta line would be my stop loss. So where's my take profit going to be? I'm literally, notice this is an ugly, ugly viewed in. This is not like super zoomed in so we can see the candles formation. All I'm going to do is look to the left to see where price has stopped. We've got kind of our 4-hour support and resistance. That matters. Is that enough pips to get a 1-to-1? It potentially is. Scott's drawing some structure here. I like this one much better because when we look left, if he expands this box, I'll just drop my line there. If you look left, price has stopped, and stopped. So it stopped on the buy, broke through, came back, and it stopped on the sell and rejected. So this area is much more important to me than this area is. So that's going to be my first target. So now is that enough room? Let's find out. Hey, Scott, how are you doing?
I was mute for a minute. I'm doing fine.
Awesome. That's your
10 minutes before the spaghetti squash is done.
Ooh, spaghetti. Is it good? Is there meat in it? Is it,
Oh yeah, the sauce is done, but the spaghetti squash is cooking.
That sounds yummy. That sounds really yummy. And healthy too. Look at that.
It is.
Not bad. Well, I hope you guys enjoy your dinner.
I'm sorry?
I hope you guys enjoy your dinner.
Oh, we will.
Okay, good. So on this pair, guys, that's what I'd be looking for. So we've got our stop losses up here. Our take profit is going to be in here.
What 2-to-1?
That's 2-to-1. And I didn't pick this because I knew it was 40 pips and this was 20. I'm going to pick something that I know is at least, greater than a 1-to-1 and also aligns with structure or Fibonacci or quarters point or the, what is that? I always mess that up. The Heikinson, whatever the lagging span on Ichimoku.
Oh, the laggy one is the
Yeah.
Kijinsen.
Kijinsen, so the lagging one on Ichimoku, right? Any of those kinds of things, I'm going to use that as my take profit. Is I'm looking for structure like supply and demand. I'm looking for a whole number like a quarter point or a Fibonacci point for those of y'all who use that. Or you can even use the lagging span on Ichimoku. Any of those would work just fine. That's where I would be finding it. And then once I know my stop loss is here, my take profit's going to be, I want at least 1-to-1, if not more. I have an area of interest. I can literally drag and drop this to say a little bit more, a little bit less. Anywhere in here, I'm going to call that a good trade. That's a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio.
Although right in here, you do have a confluence between the moving average and the structure. So it's got to beat its way through that.
The odds are if it breaks, we'll get something like this, and then bounce, and then this, if we get the continuation. If we get the continuation, it's probably going to bounce or play around for a little while before we get to here.
But we do have an uptrend. So it may pull back and continue. So just keep an eye on it. When you get down into this area in here, you can scale out a little bit, take a little bit off, set your stop loss to break even. And if you get more, great. If not, you made money. Woohoo.
That's all that matters. I like that. Woohoo. Donna laughed at me today. She said, you always get really excited when you figure something out. You're like, woohoo. She's very right. I do get very excited when I figure out stuff. She is. But the other reason why I'm considering this trade real quick, guys, it's got a double top. It's got more than one, actually. So here's one version of it. And now if I kind of zoom in past that big, huge arrow, you've got another one forming. You really can't see it because, again, that arrow's a bit in the way. We've got another one. So we've already broken past that middle of that formation right there. We're just looking for a measured move. Measured move is enough. So the measured move on this is 18 pips. So from where price is currently at, a very safe, very assured 20 pips is enough to pay your bills for the week. That's enough. Like, depending on how you're trading and how you're managing your trade, we don't need much more than that. So anybody have any questions on this particular pair? or this setup, or where to put a stop loss, or are you interested? Do you see something different? I know Scott's always the voice of conflicting difference. He likes to give the alternate perspective. In a good way, though. It works really well because then we see things from a good way. Okay, cool. If no one has any questions on this, I'm going to go ahead and right click. I'm going to delete these objects. You guys kind of have the price point before I do that. Your stop loss if you take this trade, and we get the continuation, or you get a smaller time frame entry such as the 415. Right? If you guys know that strategy and it works for you, then you should be using that. This is your 6939. What is that? 69392, give or take, for a stop loss. First target could be anywhere in here at that level of structure, which is 698924. Well, 68924. That's again 68924 would be your first take profit. My take profit would kind of be more toward that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and that would be anywhere in that window of 68758. Again, that's 68758. So
10.75 is a quarter.
75 is a quarter point, yeah.
Yep.
That's that. If we get the breakout beyond that, I would be coming all the way down to here. So you potentially have anywhere from 1 to 3 take profits on this trade. So anywhere, remember, I draw a vertical line because it's easy to draw on this platform, not because it's an exact number. We already talked about that kind of being an area of interest. If we bust through it, great. We know that our major target is always going to be take profit 2, just like with any other system, like what is that, harmonics. Most systems use take profit 2 as the major one. Take profit 1 is kind of like the one you trail or you skim out of. Take profit 3 is the one that is just kind of that extra bonus for, woohoo, you did great. So entry, take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. Does that help you, Jet? Do you like that? Can you mute yourself or no? All right, cool. Well, then moving right along, you guys have all of those kind of price points. Now I'm going to clean this up before I move on. Yes, awesome. I'm glad. Do you like any of the other odd Australian pairs that are setting up right now, or do you like that one best? Just out of curiosity. While he's answering, I am going to, let's see. First off, we know that GU, I want to go to GU before I talk about Australian odd USD. GU had a beautiful impulse. A lot of people got stuck. I talked to a couple of master traders today who were all in their fields when this impulse happened. That was not a fun impulse. And of course, what did it do after that? Let's see. After the impulse, it messed around for several hours before it came back down. That's part of real trading. But we have a beautiful setup here happening. We're currently in the Fibonacci level. We're in the Fibonacci box, right? Or the hot zone, as it's called. So now that we've zoomed in on what these candles are doing, first thing we're going to notice is we don't have an arrow yet, and that's okay. We know kind of what's happening. We know price is breaking below the 50, not once, came back, retested, impulse, correction, continuation, but now twice we've broken through that. So we've got a nice little wick. Price broke through, came back to where price stopped before. Price broke through, came back to where it stopped before. I think I'm going to say that over and over again until people really start to see that. But let's zoom out and see what we're seeing on the bigger picture here. The big picture. Bear with me, 4-hour time frame. Gonna come over and make sure that's good. We started really losing steam, and what did? We had another huge impulse, correction, impulse, and now we're kind of sitting at this level. So if you look on this 4-hour time frame, remember the gray line is where current price is. Notice how we're kind of getting currently, as of right now where we speak, we're at this high. We're at the previous high. So if we want to get a continuation, we need to make an impulse now down to the beyond this high. So you can decide if you want to take an entry the second the system gives us one on the 1 hour, for example, or if you want to wait for it to break this zone. Maybe I should make my line something other than magenta. And that zone is going to be anywhere in that kind of 1.38596, 1.38596. And the reason why is because of that previous high. We don't want to get stuck in this kind of breakout, retest of the high. Look to the left and see how often that happens. Breakout, retesting every single area. That this is very common practice. So if we're going to continue to sell this for enough room, we want to make sure we're going the right way first and foremost. So now that we've kind of went over that, I'm going to go to the 1 hour time frame. This was one of my favorite trades today. I haven't caught this many pips on a Forex pair in a long time because I've been spending so much time on gold and the indices. This one just happened to work out beautifully. So caught a bunch of pips on the first drop, and I got back in when it was playing around here. Caught this drop too. So where we're at right now, 1 hour candle, we have 20 more minutes on this candle. The odds are we're going to get a nice push up. If we fail to break this high, you can take an entry. If we fail to break any of these, I would be taking entries personally, even if it was only trading it back into this zone. Now that's the riskier way to be. No other way to say it. This is definitely the riskier trade to take if you're only trying to trade it into this zone. The safest, most best entry is going to be after we kind of break out of this area. And not that I love this tool, we're going to use this tool this time because I feel like it's really important to notice those candles to the left in the bigger picture. There we go. We have a wick of rejection, right? We really needed to break through this area because look, you see where price has stalled, where price has stalled, where price has stalled. We don't want to get stuck in this area, particularly at where price is currently at. So price is currently at right here. Is it technically enough to come retest Scott's trend line? Absolutely. That's enough to make some money on. 20 pips is good.
And something you can get confluence of three things like that. Pay attention.
We're going to get a bounce. The odds are if we get anywhere, we're already in this area. I mean,
That's only one of the things, because when you get the trend line and the area, people are paying attention.
so even if it has no value, the perceived value makes it pretty important. So I hope you guys caught that. The perceived value. If other traders are paying attention to this zone, a lot of people are going to close out a heavy portion of their sells here, which is only going to push this back up. So be very careful in this area. I wouldn't take an entry until it retested pretty high. But either way, I'm currently in this. I will keep holding this because my entries are so high up. And I will take more entries once we break this low or if we get the simplicity sell signal. So keep an eye on this trade. I absolutely love this trade. And for targets, again, I'm not going to measure where my take profit would be. Pretty simple. My first take profit is going to be here, anywhere in this zone. Oh, that would be my magic mouse. Hold on. Let me drag this again. I'm going to wiggle it around a little bit. Anywhere in here. We're not looking for a straight line like so many people worry and think. We're looking for like the area of interest, right? So anywhere in this zone, that is my first take profit. And if we get the breakout and we waited for all of that to break out, pull up, and come back down, that in itself is still 70 pips. That's not a bad day in Forex trading. Not at all. Plus your lot size could be huge, depending on your risk management, obviously.
And something to pay attention to too is when you have a wall and price is coming up into it. Like if we look at this run up here, you've been coming from quite a ways up. Market's starting to get a little bit tired. It needs to pull back a little bit, pulls back, takes another running shot at it, and is able to break through that wall. So when it needs to make a long run, this is a pretty long run. It needs to back up a little bit, and then it can break through the wall.
That's a good analogy. I like that one. I like that one a lot, actually.
But it needs a running start. Although sometimes things can sneak its way through the wall. Like in this area right in here, you're just sort of zigzagging back and forth, and then it manages to break out. It's sort of like you're not paying attention now. Here I go.
I think that's what happened on some of the indices today. They fooled around until not paying attention, and now I'm going to bust out. Didn't get the full pullback, but we just got the drop. Just be weird with or without that full pullback, guys. Just be weird. Watch this trade, take a look at it. It is definitely a higher probability entry.
That's Asian.
That's Asian, yeah. Asian, London, early. That's New York, and this is This happened, I guess, before New York, huh? Because this is kind of like almost New York open, huh? Hold on. Is it? I don't think that.
And that's New York there. That's New York on the downswing too. You know, you caught that this morning, so that's, you know, New York and slightly pre-New York.
I caught one of these candles. Like, I don't know which one it was. Could have been this one, give or
What
take.
time is that?
This is, I'm sleepy time. This is, I guess
That's pre-London. That's late Asian.
London consolidated for all that. Because this is London Open. 10 is London Open, right? Up until a few Saturdays from now, it changes back. And then, of course, so somewhere in one of these candles, it means I would have caught it, and it had to be this candle because I wasn't up that early. I was up at 1500, but I wasn't up before then. So, but keep an eye on this, guys. Definitely a good trade. Kurt says, I've been wanting to sell this pair since 2 weeks ago, but no, it keeps wanting to make higher highs. You realize that's how I feel about gold, right? Me and gold are having, you know, a dispute. It sold again today, and I just cannot fathom why. But what do I know? I'm clearly not Derek. That is definitely not a love affair. Let's take a look at gold real quick. Well, here, let's finish this off. We know our stop loss is going to be slightly above structure. This is my first take profit. Okay, my second take profit if it continues. I'm looking left. This is not perfect. I'm looking for kind of an area of interest. Prices stopped here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bajillion times, right? That's enough of a trade. If we continue to break through there, I'm taking it all the way to the top of the Fibonacci zone. Now, is that guaranteed? No, that would definitely be the trend is changing kind of a trade. But for it to come hit any of these marks, really, really high probability. And if this is too high of a first take profit, you can literally kind of cut that in half and say, okay, so where's our next area of interest to the left? You can't see it because of the really smiley face line. The price stopped here and played around here, stopped here, broke out, came back, retested. And again, we have this one candle, barely see it come back down. So this is enough for me if you're looking for one more target. So on this trade, I don't know that we're going to get all 4 out of this. I highly, highly doubt it. It would take, well, I can't say I doubt it. It would take some move for that to happen. But to hit the first 2 take profits, very, 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 should in theory be easily done. Up to the third. This is probably when I'd be getting out altogether. And Kurt said he was with me on gold. So let's take a look at gold. I've caught a few of these buys, nothing measurable, because it keeps doing this. So this right here. And if you can't hear my voice, then you know you're missing the entire tone of this conversation. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Very, very ugly point of view. I get it. We're zoomed out. We made this beautiful double bottom, came back and broke the neckline of that W, right? And we fooled around. And I was patient. Like I had no pressure. I was totally chill. It didn't happen. We form another kind of double bottom. We're breaking above the 50. We make a higher high. This candle here does make a higher high. And what does it do? It fools around. And of course, I think I was in on some of these little baby buys. And what does it do? It dropped. This was after, I don't know, a few weeks ago after class. I told everyone, no, it's not ready yet. I want the buy, but it's not ready yet. And good thing, like sometimes we're saved in little small ways. What does it do? It dropped again. So now we're looking like another double bottom. I am terrified to discuss what I think may or may not happen, but just for conversational purposes, let's take a look. I don't know if this also qualifies as the 415, but it might be worth taking a look at on a smaller time frame. We have impulse candle. We've already come back and kind of canceled that out. We have our first buy signal, 4-hour time frame. That is definitely not nothing. This has a bigger value. A 4-hour setup has a high level of accuracy. So let's not discount it too much here. Huge impulse candle. Notice this wick that already came back and retested almost 100, like what, 70 some odd % of that candle. And now these next candles are just failing to do anything. So overbought, oversold kind of trade, you can take an entry. You can take one right here, and you could have a very tiny, tiny stop loss, which in and of itself is kind of not a bad way to trade. It's not how I trade, but you have the option to do so. So that's, what is that, 70-ish pips? Not bad for this time frame and this pair. Not bad at all. But the thing is, 70-ish pip stop loss, your potential on this trade is quite high. So 70-ish pips, even for it to kind of come back into this zone anywhere in here, is a lot of room. Let's find out. That's 500-ish pips. So 570 more accurately. You can easily, and if we break this neckline, you're looking for the measured move that would make us have something along this line. So Joseph said, I'm watching to buy on entry for the 30-minute if price moves higher. What stands out to me also as a divergence, RSI versus price in the last low? Should I drop some some RSI so I can see the divergence? I'll take a look.
But for an entry down here, you have very little in the way of stop loss, distance, which is great. But I would want to see a break of the high of a previous candle before I got in.
I hope you guys all just caught that. So when you're taking overbought, oversold trades, which that's what this is timing a bottom. So now that I gave you a better view, Scott, you want to say that again, just so people can see it clearly?
So let's say the current candle closes right where it is. I would want to see a break of above the high of that previous candle before I took an entry.
So proof that price is moving in the right direction. The proof that price is moving in the right direction. So consider something like that.
Well, think of each candle. Each 4-hour candle has a high and a low. And you are looking for higher highs and higher lows if you want to go north.
In theory, everybody else does that whole overbought, oversold thing. It's ridiculous.
But the definition of a trend, you're looking for an uptrend here because you have a signal going north. And yeah, you do have divergence here.
I see it, but that's a pretty mild divergence, guys.
Yeah.
I got to see some of the markups from what is touted to be one of the best divergence experts or something. And I was rather impressed with how they saw it. I would not dare say that my eyes see things that way because I do not. That second one, I think, is a more valid one. That's the second lines. Let me get my annotate out. I don't do that too often here.
You're talking about this one?
Yes. This one.
Not divergent. They are in alignment, which is saying impulse down. Now we do have a hidden divergence. We've got this one here versus this one here.
But that's already played out. So in theory, this is already played out. Remember, divergence doesn't tell you a complete reversal. It just indicates a singular piece of evidence in favor of a pullback, in favor of, retracement. I'm going to go with retracement over reversal. Divergence is an indication for a retracement, not necessarily an overall reversal of the trend. So please, please, please know that.
Well, what it really tells you is that the buyers or the sellers are getting weaker.
This is an actual, so this is going up and this is also going up. You guys see that, right? Technically, this is going up. This is lower. This is higher. Technically, this is lower. This is higher. Right? Morning star setting up on the 1 hour. I see that. It's just not complete yet. Morning star. This is an engulfing candle. We've already retested it. This huge wick is an indication for me to kind of pay attention to as well, because that's a momentum candle. But this, Kurt, where are you seeing? Can you doodle on my screen? Can you use the annotate or unmute yourself? Because that's, there's so many conflicting, and there's tons of information. I don't want to say conflicting, that's a poor word choice, but there's so much there's such a vast amount of perspectives on what divergence is or what each of these indicators mean and how to use them. And if it's working to the point you're withdrawing or you're profitable, it is 100% right for you. So I will never discount that across the board. But for me, I still see a lower low. This is lower and this is higher. So that matters, right? And then if we look at the most recent one, this, although this is definitely a steeper one, it's kind of hidden, this would still qualify as more divergence to me than this does.
Well, that doesn't say divergence to me at all. That says they're in alignment.
But the volume and the difference, so like the volume between here and here, that's a steep line.
Yeah, except that RSI is a bounded indicator, so it tends to flatten out at the bottoms and the tops.
Do you know how many other people talk about bounded indicators other than you, Scott? So Scott's like the genius when it comes to like coding and like the super nitty gritty details, the really brilliant stuff, and whether or not it's a restricted, I'll use that word, indicator. So you talk about that stuff a lot. I don't know that other people see it as well. Let's try 14 just real quick before we move on to see if that's how you're seeing it. I'll pull the chat back up, Kurt, for you. Let me see message participants. I'll see chat. So that's kind of how I see it. I agree with Jenny after zooming in. Like I want to point that out. I'm not going to dare say I'm the expert. I have met some people who are a quadrillion times really good at divergence, and they use it as almost their exclusive strategy. And for them, that's great. If you're profitable and you know what you're doing, it's the best tool in the world. If not, and you're something like me, I just use it as a single piece of evidence that says, hey, look at me. It's one more checklist on my little checklist of, does this line up? Does this line up? Do I have any other pieces of evidence that say this might be a good decision? Or do I have no other pieces of evidence to say this might be a good decision? Maybe I should sit out, kind of thing.
And I've just seen so many times when the market stays divergent, you see higher highs happening, and the RSI or the MACD or whatever you're using, stochastics, is making lower high. It happens again and again until it finally plays out. But meanwhile, you could be in a really drawdown.
That would be the worst system ever if you actually held that trade. So you can't do that. But back to the analysis of this trade, guys. We are at the low. We are at the Fibonacci zone. Remember, the hot box is literally just the Fibonacci zone. So you guys know what this is. You understand how to trade it. You have the option of dropping to a tiny time frame and taking a trade. So I'll kind of zoom this down. The benefit of doing so is tighter stop loss. Obviously, especially with a move like this, waiting for the breakout of a move like this means your stop loss is going to be huge. No one wants a 400 pip stop loss on this pair. That's just not good investing. So,
Jenny, can you move this edge over to the left a little bit, make a little bit more room for the chart?
yes, sir. Maybe.
It's in there somewhere.
You saw me earlier trying to play with this thing. Got it. Let's see if we can get want me to get a little bit more.
That's enough. Just that what I'm seeing here is we've got this area right here that is, we've got kind of a bigger target area down there. That structure really matters. And I think that, trying to count on this line is not necessarily
A good
the
idea.
best way to be.
That's a 300 pip drop, guys. And the odds that, so even if this does turn around now, the odds that we get a spring, which means comes back and makes a lower low than this, is pretty high. So even if this does turn around for this double bottom, the odds of this becoming a higher double bottom is really high. So we want, that's a 300 pip drop though to this target. Yikes. And it keeps selling. So everybody just like me who's been wanting to wait for this buy for, gosh, a month, it keeps selling. So
we're in a high time frame trading range right now.
very high time frame.
And we're getting close to, one of the edges. I don't know what's to the left of this. We'd have to go out to a weekly or something like that to really see it. Maybe a daily would show it.
See, I'm gonna erase all these lines, guys, because it's too much. So let me go to objects, Control A, delete. Oh, now I gotta close that. I get sidetracked. To the left, you've got even more structure.
Okay, but yeah, this is telling a different story now. Because we've got this area here, we've got an area here. We break through that, we've got a lot of space. We don't have another down area till there, and then we've got down here. You know, maybe something in this area. Well, that's on the daily, you know, so it's going to take a long time for that to play out. Because we get back into, you know, where we've been trading here. You know, we came down from this, we came up to this, we're coming down to this again. We may or may not break through that, but right now I'm seeing down because we've got, you know,
On this time frame, yeah, that's nothing but down. A lot of potential to the downside.
does that mean it can't go up? You know, this is gold and it's going to be fundamentally driven. And it's going to depend on kind of what the economic news is. It's still holding pretty darn high relative to where it's been historically. We're kind of holding value in this range.
But a lot of the perception of people looking to buy this, including myself, was based off of partially fundamental, so partially political, the perception of the economy, the perception of a lot of stuff going on. And if that's not happening, and if we do break out from where that low was, so we saw what it looks like on the daily time frame, which we did not even, I can tell you, I did not consider. I admittedly did not consider. Let's take a look. If we do break out of this range, so I'll go to the 1 hour like we were just on. That's here. So if we break below, let's say anywhere in that 1785 level, we could get a spring, which just means we could pop down to like 1750 before we get a reversal. Otherwise, you'd be looking for the breakout and the retest of this to continue for at least 300 pips before the buy. If that's the case, if you want to trade it that way. So we talked about if we make higher highs, that's what's happening right now. Let me come back. This candle did close above that. That's a morning star formation. This is divergent. That's an actual divergence for those of y'all who don't.
But this is on the 1 hour. So if you're entering on the 1 hour, you want to make sure you manage on the 1 hour.
That's actually definitely.
Jenny, are you able to hear me?
There we go. How's it going?
Hey, good. I'd muted my computer and decided to log in on my phone.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I put a comment in there that there's on the 1 hour. Maybe that's where I saw it earlier. I couldn't remember, but the divergence, yeah, it's definitely there on the 1 hour. That one makes a lot more sense. I mean, of course, we'd all like to see it just shoot to the moon from there, but you never know, right?
Yeah, but look at this on the 1 hour, guys. So I'm going to zoom in. Let me close my annotator down. I'm going to zoom in.
And that little gap there.
That gap is saying there's a lot of push. There's a lot of sellers power. There's steam to the downside.
Yeah.
That's not, and it gapped right here at the low. So right here, right where people were probably putting all their stop losses, if that's where it gapped down, that tells me a story. Like, so,
Well, that's the Asian Open gap. I think there's 1 hour missing there, right?
potentially, yes. Well, yes, there is. And that's
Or
not a
23.
size of this.
And then go, what's the next candle? What time is that?
This candle should be at 0. Well, let's be at 100.
Yeah, so we've got a gap there. So that's 1 hour of missing trading data.
Mm.
So see something like we close the gap, that's only 20 pips. Start breaking just slightly above these highs. Of course, get people like myself super interested in this trade, and then boom to the ground. a rocket the other way.
Yeah, mine's filled in on my chart. It doesn't have that gap.
A broker.
I'm using that. I call it liquid, the LQD.
Yeah, I keep stuttering through it. I'm like LQDFX MT something.
Yeah. My other one is Trader's Way.
Liquid, I'm going to use yours. The Liquid FX has been real stable. The lot sizes, especially with the indices, are a little tricky, but has been very stable, and I definitely cannot complain. I've liked it a lot so far.
Yeah, ever since you recommended it, I just went ahead and signed up that day, and yeah, I haven't had any issues. The best thing I like about it is the spreads are better, especially for gold, than Trader's Way. So
I hate Trader's Way. I'm sorry, Kurt.
yeah.
I'm not a fan. You got to come over to like Hugo's Way is still my favorite across the board. Liquid FX, I'm going to copy you there for a second, is definitely got a lot of potential. I like the way their customer service works so far. I love they're very fast withdrawals, and I kind of like how people who want to follow my strategies, like on these indices, can trade them at a different lot size without it having to be make or break your mortgage kind of lot size. So
Right. Yeah, because they're like a 50 cent or something like that.
They're
On US 30, it's like 50 cent PEP value.
different. So it's definitely different. It's something to take a look at.
Yeah. Do you know what the minimum, like I haven't traded it on my live account. I just do the Forex and gold on my live account. Do you know what the minimum you need in your account to trade US 30 with the liquid?
If you're using the micro lot,
Yep.
and that's 500 to 1 leverage, then you can have like $500 in there, $400 in there, and you'll be okay.
Okay.
I can actually have less than that because of the way they calculate it, but because of
Yeah.
leverage, so they lower leverages on indices. So bear that in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I was probably, once I decide to give that a shot on the live, then I'd probably just start out with 1,000 was my plan anyway.
That's perfect. Well, practice it like if you were in class this morning, then like you saw, practice it kind of like what Ben is doing. Come show me your results after 20 or 30 trades, and we'll say, okay, here's a few tweaks. And once you realize how potentially accurate you are, your emotions aren't nearly as difficult to manage on your live account.
Yeah. My biggest thing is my job is during the fun equity hours of the day. So I got to be at work at 6, and then sometimes I don't even leave till 6. So
What time zone?
Central. I'm in Illinois.
The Central time zone. There's some trading money in there. There's you want to wake up a little earlier and enjoy your cup of coffee. So my morning looks something like this, and I know it's kind of personal, but I usually pop up. I'll have like some me time, some prayer moment, don't laugh, some affirmation stuff, and then I'll come spend my 15 minutes on my chart. And then if I go to the gym that morning before class, for example, or if I'm getting my children off or cooking them breakfast, I don't have to come look at the chart for that next hour, hour and a half or so, unless I get an alert, like with the indicators we use. So 15 minutes, believe it or not, in the morning is enough. And then oftentimes I obviously come back to my chart somewhere around 8:39 or something for that class and go from there. So 15 minutes, believe it or not, particularly if you're using a trade manager, it's enough. You don't need much more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have that yet. I haven't got that far.
You will give it some time. If you need some help.
Yeah. I'm big into the overbought, oversold stuff. And yeah, I have a bad habit. I need to quit it, but on my way to work, I have about a 45-minute drive. So
And I should say this on a live call, but Donna takes trading signals from this strategy, from my golden strategy while she drives. You can do it too. Not that you should. I've never said that.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's a bad habit. But yeah, I'll sit there and watch it sometimes on the way to work, but then I can't listen to music. So it gets boring. But yeah, it's a way to watch it during those times.
I know you just didn't call my calls boring because we were almost friends, and then what?
That's what I got out of it also.
My big brother Derek's about to come out and say, "What? Seriously? We have fun." I'm sure it's boring for you because you can't trade and you're frustrated, but no, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I got to my job sent me to Ohio last week, and we drove, and I got to be the passenger, and it was kind of funny. I was sitting over there, and I don't know, I probably had a couple hundred pips on gold last week on maybe Wednesday or Tuesday. I don't remember which day, but it was pretty fun, just being able to watch it during the daytime and actually soak it all in.
Okay. Well, then I'll take it back and we can still be friends. Okay. Okay. But real quick. So here's the deal. Please stop trading overbought, oversold. Again, in theory, it's great because your stop loss is tight. But I can tell you from all the strategies I've learned from all the companies I work with and the thousands and thousands of dollars for private coaching and ridiculous systems, that is the worst, least profitable system I have ever experienced because it is not duplicatable. It is not always repeatable. It is not systematic enough to be good. And even if most people don't have the emotional and psychological tolerance to take 80% winners, even if they're baby winners, to get 20% rocket winners. And because that 80%, 50%, 60% loss rate on overbought, oversold beats you up emotionally and mentally and psychologically, the odds of you having any success long-term in Forex is very, very, very small. So please consider stopping trading overbought and oversold. Deal?
Oh yeah. No, that's not like all I do. I don't know. That's just kind of where I look at things as far as when they may turn around. It's not like I just instantly, some of them work out as far as looking at the chart in hindsight, but if you look at like Tuesday on gold, or no, I'm sorry, I got US 30 on my chart. But it went up to the overbought, and then you could just wait for your 3,950 cross, but don't jump in it right away. I guess that's how I would look at it.
Well, yeah, you're still, that would be like confluence, right? That would be confluence with the
Yep.
entry.
I wouldn't be too afraid to do overbought, oversold, but you need to not think that the indicator is going to give the answer as to what is overbought and oversold. This was overbought.
Yeah.
And this is overbought.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All year long, it stayed that way. This is it first got over.
Right.
Overbought.
If you go back to the 1 hour, Jenny.
That's an entire year of overbought, people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it just stayed on top all year. Yeah.
Was that the one?
1 hour. You want the 4?
What were we on before? Maybe it was the 4.
That's a nice wick, but I don't love it.
I don't remember what view we were just on. Was it the 15? Were we down to the 15?
I know I checked 30 momentarily. It was very, very, and we looked at
Well,
the.
there's just a great example, but I'm not seeing it right now. But, if you look here, we've got a level that forms up here. Anything up in that level price-wise is, we got a level that sits up in here, oversold at the bottom, overbought at the top. We enter that zone, we look for confirmation of it coming out, and we trade it down to the other side. That's a way to do overbought and oversold by price action.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Entry after price comes out of the zone.
And where that price came when it bounced back up there to about 18, 14, 15, whatever, if you had a 50 line on the RSI, that RSI went right up to 50 and smacked it, and then it dropped down.
You're talking about here?
Yep, yep.
But, in this particular case, we've got this wick that forms right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a zone right there. We come up, we hit the zone, and we pull right back out of it. As we break below that, we can take that down to look for this.
Yeah.
So that's a way of trading overbought, oversold with really tight stop losses, and then you can see it move. You have to realize where your targets are. It's a way to play overbought and oversold where your risk is small and your potential reward is reasonable, but you don't take those in the middle. You take them at the extremes, and you have to be willing to say, I'm willing to lose this because my winners are going to be bigger.
Right.
You have to contend with having a bigger losing ratio, and mentally and emotionally, I feel like most people don't do super well with that. Brando in the chart, if I'm saying that right, in the chat, he said you can make more money trading the continuation than timing the overbought or oversold. I agree exponentially. I agree.
Yeah, I see that a lot too. That the RSI, it'll just stay at the top or bottom as the price just keeps going up and up and up, or down, down, down.
Let's take a
And
look.
RSIs with overbought, oversold work great when you're in consolidation.
Okay. Yeah, I can see.
Scott,
But
wait,
when it's trending, it's useless.
Yeah,
leave your stuff on there for a second,
I
Scott.
like that information.
Well, I wouldn't say useless, but you need to use it differently.
Right.
Jenny has a method of using an RSI that's just if it's above 50, you're going up, and if it's below 50, you're going down.
Because that's the trend. Like, see how simple I am? Like, it's not complicated. People want to look at this 70 and this 30, and the perceived value makes it valuable, but I never found that the actual value made any sense. Like for me, if I found these indicators, oscillators, and all the stuff you can put on your chart, and I found a way to say, if I'm in buyer's territory, I'm looking for buys, and if I'm in seller's territory, I'm looking for sells. And every strategy, for the most part, I've cultivated, created, worked with, or had any success with, have all really fundamentally used that principle. So that is me. Now Scott can come on the classes and he starts talking about this zone. Let's see, I'll use my line versus a zone. This zone, and he clearly sees that super, super well. He clearly has an eye for that. But what I see when I see this, and the things that I want to get across to the students that work with me and all the clients, is that we peaked out, this was a loss, right? We peaked out, depending on your stop loss, this was a loss. By then you're already emotionally beat up. So this one right here, this candle starts to go in your favor. The odds are you skip this trade because your little feelings were hurt, right? I'm human too. My little feelings get hurt all the time. And I see this perpetual loss cycle of, in a batch of 50 trades, you're probably going to have 35 to 40 losers, give or take. And yes, in this equation, the odds are those 10 winners will have paid for those losers. But you have to have the kind of personality type that is sound and mathematical and systematic enough to appreciate that 20, well, anywhere from 10 to 30% winning ratio and not freak out. And I don't know a lot of y'all who can. I don't even think, oh, clearly I'm not one of them. Let's just be honest. I'm not wired that way.
Well, when you get into consolidation zones, and we've got one here, if we start to draw our zone from right here, and, I'd say using the purple candle as kind of our guide over here, that, we pushed up and then we retraced half that candle. We sort of formed an area right there. That could be a wick on the next higher time frame. If you see that?
Yes.
So then that wick then becomes our zone, and we respect that. And very often in consolidation, 70% of the time, breakouts will fail until they don't. And so that means that you have to be rigid with your idea that if I'm going north from this level down here, my stop loss is pretty tight, and I'm willing to take that stop loss. So here we come down, and then we break north right there. Looks like we got ourselves going up from the zone. You get in, we break our low, we're out. Now there's nothing below that. Maybe there's here, but you can immediately reverse when you break and say, I'm going down to my next zone, wherever that is. But you need to have it pre-plotted. So that's just a way of doing it.
Ability to say, I lost, I sold, I'm buying, I bought, I'm selling, I bought, I sell, I won, I lost, I won, I lost, I lost, I'll buy, I'll sell. you have to be that. And if you can't, that's where kind of my thought process comes in. Because Scott, how many people that we've worked with do you think can take this sell or this buy, see this formation happen, accept the loss, however big or small, lot size regard, aside, and then immediately say, okay, now I'm selling, and do that in a systematic and unemotional way?
I did it this morning on US 30.
You did, but other than you that we've worked with.
Well, you need to get to the point eventually in your trading, however it is, that you're willing to take losses and not get emotional about them. It's not the end of the world. You have, there are good losses and bad losses. The good losses are ones that are planned for. Say, I know where my stop loss is and I get out when it hits my stop loss. Bad losses are when you move your stop loss all over the place. But there's also good wins and bad wins. Good wins are ones where you got lucky and not by plan. If I say good wins, I mean bad wins.
I'm going to say, did you mean bad wins?
Yeah. Bad wins are when you get lucky and aren't by your plan. Plan your trades and trade your plan.
A win that you didn't plan for is, to me, it's like the worst thing ever, because then you're convinced that you can take another unplanned oops, idiocracy kind of, thing, and you'll plan on winning, and then you'll come back and say, oh, why is nothing working? Because you haven't done anything the right way. You haven't done any plan. You got lucky a few times, so sure, you were in profit. You got a little grace and favor over those tops, so of course you didn't lose much, and now you're convinced that this is going to work next week, and the odds are, without the plan, you're not going to duplicate those results. And that's why people see those 2 or 3 week lows, those everything works until it doesn't kind of theories. Hey Lucas, how are you?
Seen you in a long time.
I know, right?
Is your heart still on your sleeve, Lucas?
Good.
Good man.
Good job.
As far as how you said to take that sell immediately after the I don't know if it's a hammer or whatever.
After your stop loss gets hit, it would be breaking the low of this candle over here.
Okay. Yeah.
Once you break that, you hit your
Yep.
stop loss. This is where your stop is when you break back above your line. You got your zone sitting out here. You break above and you're happy, woohoo, it's going my way. Price reverses and pops down, takes out your stop. Well, there's nothing below that. You got maybe something down here, and even that's enough to pay back your loss that you just took.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that I wouldn't take it until it broke the wick off of the last down candle.
Yep. But, with all the Momo you've got going down here, I mean, this is a big old candle pushing down.
Yeah.
And, you watch the speed at which the candle is forming. If you see it stalling at this line, then maybe you think about either scaling out or taking the trade off.
Yeah.
It's all profitable from that trade, because you're going to have a small loss here and a bigger win here. So you're now profitable net in that. So you can take it off and still be happy. You can break even and still be happy. But the thing is that if you get yourself out too early, you're going to be missing that whole FOMO thing that'll kill you, because then you'll take a stupid trade. You get in down here. Okay, I had this big close. I'm getting in here. Now price does this.
Right.
Before it does this.
Yeah.
And hears you out, and you say, damn, okay, I lost money. Now I'm net unprofitable.
Yeah, exactly.
GU today, guys. That's exactly what happened with GU today. Okay,
Yep.
well, I ended up talking a little bit longer about these couple of pairs, and that's okay. So to reiterate, I definitely love Australian CHF once it sets up completely. Australian USD has potential. We didn't get a chance to go over that, but I'm also seeing potential there. GU needs a pullback, but I'm totally, for that one coming down a little bit further. And then overall analysis on gold is this pair has chewed up the last few weeks. I don't know. Now I can tell you I didn't look at this time frame. What was it, weekly time frame? Prior to now, I wasn't, thinking weekly. I was thinking swing trade 1 hour, 4 hour. So this is not nothing. If we continue to break these lows, if we break this low, this got a lot of room to sell. So, but to buy now, especially when there's this very small zone that it could still fill, wick down, give us a slightly lower low before it does retest, too much room for the play on the sell for me to take that in any level. Better yet, as overbought, oversold, definitely out on that trade. So, could I miss my buy that I've been waiting for forever? It feels like, yes, I could probably miss it. But the gap is getting filled right now as we speak. There is divergence on the smaller time frames, but not the larger time frames. So is it enough room to buy up a little bit? Yeah, sure, it is. And could it potentially close in profit? Yeah, it could. But there's too much room to the downside for me to risk it for a 70 pip gain with a 300 pip room to the downside. So I guess I'm not looking for my buys on this. I'll have to wait until after that plays out. We'll go from there. So. Anybody else have any questions, comments on the pairs we did look at, Simplicity, the scanner, or whatever else? As you guys can see, it's super over format. So if you have questions, put them in the chat, raise your hand if you're more polite than the rest of us. Otherwise, we create this kind of family environment that is super open. I'm going to check the YouTube thing real quick if it will let me. Moving all that. All right, awesome. Well, in that case, guys, I hope that you guys consider some of the trades we looked at tonight. If you have any other questions, put them in the appropriate chats or groups or websites. I hope you guys have an incredible night. Stay safe in your trading journey. Donna said her internet went out again. And don't give back the trades you win. So start working on your trading plan if you don't have one yet. I think that's going to be my message for the next few months, is to really hone in on helping you guys just hit your next level up. It doesn't have to be 6 figures. But let's compound an account to where you can level up your life enough to replace your job or enough to, buy the house or pay your rent off for the year. Like, I don't know what your level is specifically, whatever it's going to take to help you get to that level. Let's get there in a systematic kind of approach. So.
And if you're experiencing rolling blackouts, stay warm, folks.
Right. You're not. Well, what's the weather where you're at, Scott?
What's the weather here?
Nice, right?
Oh, it's right now as low as in the 50s and highs close to 70.
Got your parka?
Wendy's keeping REI in business right now. She's buying parkas and snow pants and boots and.
Oh, yes, because you're going to need them there.
What's up with that REI stock? It's going up.
Seriously though, Scott, I've been looking at all the photos, and let me tell you, they have the northern lights there, and I'm super in love. Like, I am in love with that area. The ice, everything from summer to fall to winter to spring, every season appears to be just majestic. Like, seriously, there's no other word than just majestic. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the best place ever. It's my hometown and I love it.
Oh, cool. Well, while you're there, I'll be in flip-flops.
Eric will be paying like $300-400 a month in rent.
Yes, ma'am. Someone has to do it.
May as well be you. That's insane. And if you guys saw this, you can put it in the group if you want. And
Oh,
lifestyle stuff, I would show them what's possible. You can literally make a few grand a month and live like a king in most areas. Some areas, more accurately.
yeah, sure can. Here, let me see if I can do that.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. But all right, guys, that's enough for tonight. So I hope you guys have a great night. I will be live again 2 Tuesdays from now. As Miss Donna gets really good at some of the stuff on YouTube, we're going to post more content on here. So please be on the lookout. If you're not subscribed, please do so now, or like or comment or do the stuff that YouTube asks you to do as we work on growing and just expanding our reach to more people. So hopefully we can create, 1,000 6- and 7-figure income earners and help people have the money and the freedom to go donate and build their whatever their bleeding heart is, right? Whatever the cause that calls their heart. So the more lives we can touch to do that, the better. And we're on a roll. So have a great night. Take care and God
Good
bless.
night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Jen Jen.
Good night, Jen. We love you.
Love you.
Thanks a lot.